Beginning of Module 2. Objective 1 is an introduction to graphs of quadratic functions. Quadratic functions are considered to have the power of 2. And a quadratic function can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are whole numbers and also called what's coefficients. And the graph of a quadratic function is called a parabola. We'll be discussing this more in detail of like real-world examples of parabolas. But just to give you an idea, I'm going to open up a new page here really quick. To give you an idea of a parabola that happens a lot, let's say I lived in Wisconsin. I used to have snowball fights all the time. So here I am. If I wanted to hit my friend who stood a long, long way away from me over here with a snowball, chances are I'm going to have to huck that thing pretty good. Now, I might just throw it as straight as possible with as much velocity as I can, but if he's a far ways away and I need to aim, I might need to throw said snowball, make it purple, and give it some arc in order to hit him right where I want him, right in the kisser. So what I just drew in red is technically an example of a parabola. It is a graph, or it's a projectile that is thrown into motion, travels a distance at a certain speed. It has a maximum point at some point, and we could find any position of the snowball at any time. It travels technically over an x and y axis. So if I draw the axis in green, the x-axis and the vertical axis, so the horizontal is x, the vertical is y. It travels over that, where I could compute where the maximum point is right here. It will have an x value and a y value. And by doing this type of thing, you can actually really, and given it the function, at some point we'll come up with an equation for this parabola. You can really find out some really cool things about trajectory and how things fly through the air and that type. Find where their maximum, how long it took to reach maximum height, those types of things. Again, I say this all the time, but I have used this type of math in my master's program for sports medicine and strength and conditioning a lot, because I worked with baseball players. If they threw from right field to home plate, I wanted to know how fast it went and how far it went in different places along the way. So we worked with this type of math before. So that is what a parabola is, an arc of sorts. So back to the notes. Key features of parabolas. ax squared plus bx plus c. Again, that's the standard form. So please write standard form above this. It's good to know this. Standard form of a quadratic is ax squared plus bx plus c. And these are very important positions. They will all be numbers at some point, very important positions to remember. When a is positive, so when the first number listed in your quadratic function is positive, it opens up. So I'm going to put, it looks like a smiley face. Here's an example of a quadratic function that is positive. Smiley. I'm going to skip over this. When a is negative, it has a frown. Here's an example of a negative parabola. Easy way to remember that: positive people are happy, negative people are sad. Positive people smile a lot, happy people smile a lot, sad people do the frowny stuff. So that's an easy way to remember. Positive opens up, negative opens down. You need to be able to just call upon that knowledge instantly while working in this module. You're going to hear that for the rest of Algebra 2. So, a couple key features then. We're going to talk about the vertex and the axis of symmetry right now. So the vertex is the highest max or lowest minimum point of a parabola. So it's either the maximum point, the mountaintop, or the minimum point, the valley. The vertex is on the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is a vertical line that splits the parabola into two equal halves. So if I was going to identify the vertex of this picture to the left, the vertex in the axis of symmetry, I would find that this starts on the left here. I'm going to retrace it just to see. It starts going up, 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 right about, sorry, my smartboard's not working very well right now. Right about there, it stops from going up and starts going down, 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 down. So where I drew my dot is the mountaintop. I hope you can agree that's the tallest point of this graph. That plotted point of that vertex is 2, 1. And then the axis of symmetry exists at the vertical line at that point. So it exists right wait for it, my smartboard's a little off. It exists right there. So it cuts the parabola in two equal halves. 1, 2. I hope you can see that the left side and the right side are the exact same minus a little error of the drawing. Now, the axis of symmetry is only the x value. You need to know that it's only the x value of this plotted point. This plotted point, my vertex, is 2, 1. The x value of the vertex is 2. So the axis of symmetry is 2. Now, I broke this up step by step. When you do your homework, this is the first step, identifying the vertex and identifying the axis of symmetry, because they go hand in hand. You will be doing this algebraically instead of looking at a graph like I just identified over here. But I just wanted to show you what the vertex was and the axis of symmetry was. To finish off this video and these notes, let's continue. If you're given an equation for a parabola instead of a graph, use the equation x equals -b over 2a to find the axis of symmetry and then the vertex. Your parabola will have an axis of symmetry at x equals, we'll get to that, and then you plug your x value back into, your parabola will have an axis of symmetry x equals -b over 2a. So this formula is to find the x value of the vertex, then you plug your x value back in to find the y value of your vertex, and that will give you the plotted point. But we're going to talk about that more so in the next video. I would go ahead, this equation is incredibly important because it's used to find the x value of the vertex. I would go ahead and write this equation way at the top of your notes. I don't necessarily have room in this video, but I would write it at the top of your note sheet, and I'll provide room for that. Just make note that the vertex formula is this. -b over 2a is the vertex formula. Please write that somewhere where you can access it easily. And that is the introduction to the graph of a quadratic, which is called a parabola.